Mom, I have a question for you. If you had to start sewing all over again, what are the 5 gadgets you would buy today?
5 gadgets I would buy today. Not a sewing machine, but gadgets.
Not a sewing machine.
Okay. First and foremost, a set of needles a good variety pack that has sharps, ballpoints, so that no matter what kind of fabric you're using, you have the needle for the job.
Like these guys.
Yep.
Okay. What's number 2?
Number 2 would be thread. So thread, gosh, it's a whole world of thread. So buy the best quality thread that you can afford to buy, but buy the thread that matches the fabric that you're sewing with. So if you're using a polyester fabric, tend towards polyester threads. If you're sewing a woven like wool or cotton, then you want to go with a cotton or a linen thread. There's exceptions to that based on tensile strength, but that's the general rule.
What happens if you sew with a cotton thread on like a stretchy polyester fabric?
A cotton thread on a stretchy polyester fabric could tend to break depending on what stitch you use. If you're not using a stretch stitch, then it will just break in the seams. The other way around, if you use a polyester on a cotton, the polyester thread, if it's not a very thin polyester thread, it will actually tear the fibers of the woven fabric like the cotton. So you'll end up with a big hole in your fabric.
So it's important to match. You can get different kinds, but you want to match the fabric that you are sewing with. So
match the fabric and or tensile strength. So you can use a very thin, lightweight polyester on a woven, like a cotton, but you really have to know your threads to do that.
Cool. And what's number 3 gadget?
Number 3 is scissors. There's, again, a whole world of scissors and brands out there. Do you, but I prefer Kai scissors.
Kai, these bad boys.
In my many decades of sewing, I have found that the Kai scissors are best that I've ever sewn with. This is not a paid promotion,
but it could be.
I just love them. They come in a variety of sizes, dressmaker shears, and just professional shears. All of that, all the way down the line to embroidery shears, and they're absolutely affordable. Like you can get them for $20. They're really.
We should have stock in Kai.
We should. They're just fantastic scissors. They have a nice balance to them. They're lightweight. They don't fatigue your hands when you're sewing all day. So love the scissors. Those are for fabric cutting. For non-fabric cutting like paper, cardboard, whatever else, get yourself a cheap pair of scissors from the craft store or big box sewing store to cut everything but your fabric. And then my last one would be measuring tapes. So there's a whole bunch of gadgety measuring tapes out there. I prefer the one that I bought over 20 years ago, which replaced the one that I had probably 30 years ago. But they last forever. They're inexpensive. They have nice big numbers and marks on them. And they nothing ever goes wrong with them. They're great. You can get the retractable ones. We also like those. We have those in the shop, but we tend to go through the retractable ones much faster because the springs break in them. So you're replacing them more often. I prefer my old standby.
You got one more to go.
Oh, and pins. Pins, I prefer pins come again in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And get the ones that you do for your job. Like I have multiple types of pins, T-pins, long quilting pins, whatever. For mainstay sewing, garment sewing, cosplay sewing, I use short, sharp pins with a glass head on them. I prefer the glass heads because they don't melt while you're ironing them, and you don't have to pull them out when you're ironing. And they pretty much are set to, you can do stretch fabrics or wovens with them. You don't have to have a special pin for those different types of fabrics.
Bonus round, you got 3 more. What else would you buy at the store?
3 more. I would buy quilting gloves. even if you're not a quilter, these are fantastic for if you're doing long seams on cloaks or dresses or pants. They help you grip the fabric without fatiguing your hands doing a whole day of sewing. So, second up would be a seam ripper. Seam rippers are kind of a mainstay. I prefer the higher end seam rippers just because they fit my hand well and they last forever and they stay sharp forever. But they also have ones that are have ergonomic handles. Again, buy the one that fits you.
And your last thing, you got one more thing you can buy at the store. What else?
One more buy. Elbow tweezers. So these are tweezers that have almost a 90-degree bend at the end. And the reason why I like these is because they're great for using while you're sewing to grab those pins and pull them out so you don't have to stop. You can get a rhythm going. But if you can't find those, then get a stiletto. And this is good for helping guide the fabric under the feed dog, as well as pushing out those points and corners.
Thanks, Mama.